Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Vaz, and this is going to be a presentation about the particles for and since. This presentation is directed to students from the third year of secondary school, and it is presented by the half of second term. Immediately after the presentation of the present perfect tense and some of the particles that we have already seen, such as already, still, yet, and just. And now we need to introduce some time references for the present perfect, and we need to use for and since. So let's see. For and since, as I have told you, are particles which are mainly used with the present perfect. But we have to take into account that for is also used for the past simple, so don't be tricky. They both make reference to periods of time which are previous to the present. And remember that for makes reference to the duration to the period, and since makes reference to the beginning, to the starting point of the period that we are referring to. For example, periods have 10 years, 15 minutes, 9 months, 20 years, the rest of my life. Or starting points can be last Tuesday, January 2001, or Middle Ages, or for example, 6:30. For is always followed by a period of time, as we can see, for example, for 6 years, for a week, for a month, for a year, or for 2 hours. It can be different periods of time with different duration. And then since, it's always followed by a specific moment, such as since this morning, since I was a child, or since 2003. It is very important to take into account the position in which particles for the present perfect are placed. As we have seen already, still, yet, and just are placed in different spaces of the sentence, okay? So then for and since never interrupt or never place in between the auxiliary verb and the past participle, or in between the subject or the auxiliary verb. They should be always placed at the end of the sentence because they belong to a time object. Okay, so objects are always placed after the verb structure. Okay, so then for the present perfect, as you already know, we must firstly put the subject, then the auxiliary verb, which in this case is the verb have. Remember, for third person singular is has. And then the past participle of the main verb, the verb which gives meaning to the sentence. If it is regular, we should add the ed ending, and if it is irregular, we should know how it is formed. And if not, you can check the list of irregular verbs in your student's book for sure. And then immediately after, we should place for or since plus the time reference we want to say. Let's see an example in which we can express the same with both structures, with for and since. We can say, I have worked for 30 years, or I have worked since 1986. In both cases, we mean the same, but making reference in different ways. So, he trabajado durante 30 años o he trabajado desde 1986. And we are saying exactly the same. Then we must be careful with their translation. For it's mainly translated as durante and since it's translated as desde. But we must take care and we shouldn't translate since as desde hace, because desde hace is used for, okay? So for is durante, desde hace, since es desde. Let's see some curiosities because for and since are very easy to understand. Don't be afraid to use them. And I have downloaded some idioms which I think they are curious because they show you that they show us that English and Spanish have more similarities than we think. Let's see. For example, the first idiom I have chosen is since time immemorial, and it makes reference to something that it has been going on for such a long time that nobody can remember a time without it. And it is similar to the Spanish expression that we use desde tiempos inmemoriales. For sure, you have heard your grandma, your grandpa telling this. Then we have for ages. This is an exaggeration that I must confess I use a lot. For ages, it's also used in Spanish desde hace décadas, desde hace siglos. Okay. We have also for God's sake or for Pete's sakes, and it is very similar to Spanish por el amor de Dios. And we use it when we are very exasperated, very irritated. Okay. And the last one is for the time being, which makes reference to an action or to a state that will continue into the future, but it will be temporary. So this idiom is not used with the present perfect. Okay, take care, because as it makes reference to the future, it is used with the present continuous for the future. Okay. And last but not least, remember that you must pronounce sins with the vowel phoneme E, sins, and never the diphthong I, because every year I hear at least 2 or 3 students that pronounce signs, and that's not correct. Okay, so then take care with that pronunciation. And that's all for today. Was it difficult? Nah, I'm sure it wasn't. So thanks for watching and see you on my next video. Thank you. Bye. See you.